Lot of high-level momentum in terms of relationship between India and Belarus. We know that under the Indian presidency of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the process of Belarus becoming member of this mega grouping has started. There are a lot of high-level things that are expected, including, of course, the much-awaited direct flight between New Delhi and Minsk. With me is the ambassador of Belarus to talk about the relationship and decode about what is expected in the relationship. So welcome to WION. My first question to you is an obvious question. How do you see the relationship between the two countries? How will you characterize the relationship between these two countries?
First of all, many thanks for this opportunity to deliver my vision of our relations. You absolutely right. We enjoyed for a long time. We enjoyed very good relations between our countries, even before we got independence in 2091. So since that time, we established embassy of India in Belarus. We established our embassy here in Delhi. We have a lot of very interesting projects running in both countries. We have some investment from India and Belarus. We have our equipment supplied to India. And as you mentioned, every year, every new stage, we improve our relations. Now, I am very proud and I'm very happy that we are opening a direct flight which can help not only ordinary people to travel more between our countries, but of course it will help businesses, cultural exchanges, and many other things which became more closer and more easy to fulfill. Very shortly, today, our aircraft will take off from Minsk, and tomorrow morning it will land it in Delhi. And I hope it will be just one more small step toward much bigger interactions between our countries. Of course, we expect a lot from this. In Belarus, there are a lot of to offer to Indian people just to see. By the way, we have 4 UNESCO heritage sites, which is worldwide recognized. Among these UNESCO heritage, we have very nice castles, at least two complexes of castles, Mir and Nesvish castles. We have a different kind of tourism, agricultural tourism, industrial tourism. For example, everyone can participate in assembling of a Belarusian tractor. Everyone can have a test drive of huge dump trucks up to 130 tons. There are medical tourism. It's very Belarus very known for surgical operations, like transplant surgery, like oncology, and so on and so on. So we have a lot of offer to Indian people, as well as our people would like to know more India. Yoga is very popular now in Belarus. Ayurveda became more and more popular in Belarus. Even Indian cuisine, it's popular in Belarus because some companies from India are supplying a real, genuine Indian product to Belarus. For example, one of my friends, Indian guy, who has a business in Belarus, he just started to supply a toothpaste, a pure Indian herbal toothpaste. Rice, it's also very popular. Spices. So a lot of interesting things which we can do, and much easy with this flight.
So essentially, if we talk about this direct flight between New Delhi and Minsk, what is the rationale of having this direct flight? When we know about Belarus, we talk about Belarus, we know that there are members of the Indian community, especially members of the Indian students who are present for medical education. So how will this direct flight help them, and how this direct flight will increase in people-to-people connectivity between the two countries?
Look, it's absolutely obvious and easy to explain. Before, just to get to Belarus from India, you should use different flights through different countries. It was necessary at least a couple of visas for Indian people. Now, only one visa is necessary, Belarusian visa. Plus, for Indian people, there is opportunity to get to Belarus without visa in case they have open Schengen visa, valid Schengen visa, at least one time used in Schengen. So you can use up to 30 days, you can come to up to 30 days without visa to Belarus, in case you have this opened and valid Schengen visa. For students, you're absolutely right. We have more than 1,000 Indian students, mostly studying in medical specialties. And for them, it's much easier to get home for vacation and return back to Belarus. It's only 6.5 hours.
So a lot of positive developments, but shifting gears to perhaps much more into multilateral domain. India was the chair of the SCO, in fact, that still continues. The key outcome or the key focus has been inclusion or expansion of the grouping. We saw Iran becoming full member, and now the process of Belarus's membership has started. So if you can update us as to where things stand as to your country's membership for this mega grouping.
In July 4th, it was an online summit in India, under India auspice. And during this summit, all countries unanimously signed a memorandum of commitment for Belarus to become a full-fledged member of Shanghai Cooperation Organization. All leaders signed this memorandum, plus it's already signed by Secretary General of Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Now it's a necessary process just to ratificate all necessary agreements and other related documents by all countries. First of all, by our country, it's 47 documents which we should ratify within our parliament. To make in-government procedure. And then all countries should ratify our inclusion to Shanghai Cooperation Organization. After that, automatically, on next event, we can be a full-fledged member of OSCE. And of course, during our 12 years of participation in different status, like partner, like observer, we proposed a lot to this organization. We conducted a lot of initiative within the event which we were invited. And we see that this organization is a very, sufficient for the countries, developing countries, and in stage of development. Because sometimes more powerful countries does not care about others. They try to conduct their own policy. They would like to persuade their way of life, their way of living standard and other things. So Shanghai Cooperation Organization as well as BRICS organization, it's just a voice and protector of developing countries. And we would like to be a part of this world, especially southern countries, developing countries. And our president not once mentioned that we have a good experience just to share when we became a full-fledged member with OSCE, with BRICS and other countries where India also participated. And just a few data. OSCE country Shanghai Cooperation Organization countries, they just cover approximately 20% of GDP, world GDP. And 70% of Belarus with these Shanghai Cooperation Organization countries. So it's important for us just to be a part of this organization.
So you mentioned about BRICS. The BRICS summit is going to happen in Johannesburg, and it's a much awaited summit given that the expansion of the grouping is something that is on the anvil. Something is going to be announced. Now, we also saw the Indian ambassador and the foreign minister of Belarus holding a meeting earlier this week. So essentially, what is Belarus's stance when it comes to expansion? Have you officially requested or reached out to all member countries, including India, for your membership for this mega grouping?
Yes, definitely. I can confirm this. We officially requested presidency South Africa country to accept our proposal to join this organization, as well as we sent the same letter explaining our step to all participant member, all 5 participant member of BRICS. So yes, we officially applied for membership. As I know, up to now, it's approximately 25 countries sent the request to be a member of BRICS organization. But as I know, it's not clear at this moment the criteria of expansion, how it will be considered, who can pretend to be a member. So it's still under consideration. I hope before the summit in Johannesburg, it will be decided. This criteria will be elaborated.
How do you see SCO and BRICS as a symbol of the rise of multipolarity in the world?
You're absolutely right. It's a different bloc which can protect the rights and can show other world except Western countries. The economy for these countries it's quite strong. The population of these countries approximately 45% of world population. So it's quite strong formations, quite strong organization, which we would like to be a part of these organizations.
So last year, your then foreign minister had visited Delhi and had met with the trade minister, the external affairs minister. There were many outcomes. If you can update us on those outcomes, including perhaps some conversation on getting fertilizers as well, if you can perhaps give some kind of information on that.
Yes, our minister, former foreign minister, Mr. McKay, visited India in November last year. It was a very productive visit because it was intergovernmental commission on trade, economy, scientific and cultural cooperation between our countries, and our minister headed this delegation. It was a very productive meeting with your honorable external minister Rzheussky, with commerce minister Piyush Goyal, and with the minister of fertilizer Mr. Mandavia. Plus, it was quite good business forum which we conducted here in Delhi. Approximately, it was more than 100 companies present here. Of course, we discussed the issue of fertilizer. It's important because for many years, my country was among the leaders in exporting of foodstuff to the world market. And we actually, we was one of the 5th biggest producers of fertilizer in the world. 40% of fertilizer in India was from Belarus up to 2022. Unfortunately, because of restriction measures which were imposed by some countries, first of all by Lithuania, Latvia, Poland, United States, the export of fertilizer was dropped dramatically. For example, last year, our export to Africa dropped from 43% to almost 3%. This year, as I know, no 1 kg of fertilizer were not supplied to Africa, only because of these coercive unilateral restrictive measures from particular countries. It's against international treaties. It's against even United Nations rules, because only Security Council of United Nations can impose sanctions, but it's not our case. Security Council did not impose any sanctions against Belarus, only particular countries. It's not good for food security in the world. 50% of crops harvest in the world grows because of fertilizer. So if you restrict supply fertilizer, it means that you will lose 50% of crops and harvest. We are trying to do our best. We are trying to convince international organization, first of all United Nations, that it's against even Agenda 2030, Sustainable Development Goals. One of second one, probably, if I correctly remember, it's no hunger. But how we can go to this goal if there is restriction measures and world just suffer because of shortage of fertilizer. Now the main producer of fertilizer is Canada, but Canada cannot do or cannot fulfill all needs of all world. Even physically, it's not possible for such a short period just to produce so much fertilizer as it was with Belarusian production. And it caused a lot of problems and caused big price for product and so on and so on. So it's very complicated issue, and it cannot be solved only by joint efforts of all states, but definitely not by imposing some restriction measures like it is now against Belarus.
World is a complex place, but so coming to your part of the world, the geopolitics of your part of the world, the Wagner group, there is a presence in your country. If you can update as to what kind of presence it is, and is it destabilizing, or, I mean, there's so many men from that group, so what has been the status like?
Look, there is a lot of rumors circulating about Wagner group in Belarus. What is definitely true, that our president interfered in a very critical moment, what happened recently in Russia, and to propose a solution of this critical situation. The Wagner group partially joined Russian army, as I know. Partially they are in Africa, where they fulfill their obligation. Partially, yes, they are in Belarus. I don't know about equipment, weapons, which, once again, it's rumors were brought to Belarus. I don't know, but I definitely know that they can share their experience, a real experience, combat experience, with our military forces, with our special operation forces, which is very valuable for us, because we are not participating in a military activity for many years. We are peaceful countries. But what we can see now, it's important just to know the real situation in a combat field and in a combat environment. And it's useful for our army. Our president just mentioned this many times, that once they are useful for us, we will allow them to stay in Belarus and share their experience. If it will be something wrong from their side, of course it will be some other actions against them. But at this moment, no any problem with this Wagner group.
Any plans to deploy them to your western border with Poland?
I cannot answer this. it's beyond of my responsibility. I can tell you about Indian-Belarusian relations, but I cannot tell about this.
Uh, Coming back to India-Belarus relationship, which is the main focus, of course, how do you see the relationship going forward? Because there have been also outreach from your country. Opening up of a consulate as well was one of the key feature as well. So how has the focus been when it comes to opening of the consulate? Now it has opened. So what has been the response from the local people towards Belarus in Mumbai?
It's difficult for me just to answer widely for this question, because there are consulate and there is consul at this moment. We are expecting very soon a consul general, which has to come just to head this office. But when we decide to open consulate general, we just stand from the position that Mumbai is a financial capital of India. It's important. It's a seaport as well, and our presence will be necessary there. Of course, for some people, it's much easy from neighboring states just to apply for visa to consulate general, then to come to India. But once again, all our representations, first of all, dedicated to assistance of business interaction with India, for people interaction between our countries, to conduct some projects, cultural events, and of course to protect our people who are in trouble in the country. Mm-hmm. So it's just additional tool which we are using in India just to enhance our relations with your country.
Mm-hmm. So my last question to you is on sustainability. This has been something that has been part and parcel of our lives. What you have been doing and your country have been doing when it comes to promoting sustainability?
Look, we are expecting very soon in September SDG summit in New York. As I know, our deputy minister in July was in preparatory meeting in New York, just to deliver a report, not report, but speech about this forthcoming event. And he said that our country doing our best just to fulfill Agenda 2030 in time. Approximately 80% of goals already fulfilled, up to 80-90% in Belarus. As we know, latest statistics, we are on a 34th place in implementing SDG among 166 countries. So we are quite good in this field, and we are doing our best. We have a 15 years program of sustainable development in Belarus. A lot of documents tuned up with the United Nations criteria and approaches. And there is a special commission in Belarus on sustainable development goals. We have a main person who is responsible for this topic and for this issue. So we are quite good in this.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much, sir, for speaking to WION on a diverse range of subject, whether it is the relationship, whether it's the start of direct flight, or whether it's sustainability. And we hope to continue this important relationship.
Definitely, definitely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much as well. Thank you.